Well, first of all, thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very honored and pleased to be with this panel and also with the audience. Thank you very much for being here. So I would maybe start, I have a little bit the hat of the academic perspective on how we see things from our end. And as Dr. Korom said, like I've been a few years in the industry, so I've been in a company, I've seen like contingencies, constraints that we have on a daily basis in several positions. And I totally agree with what I heard. I think that's what was said, for example, that really resonates with what we have in mind is what we call lifelong learning. So that's a skill. I mean, once you have a degree, it says you have some basic skills, you have some preparation for the workplace, but the difference, if you want to aspire to positions where you will do interesting things, it's not like jobs that are challenging, you have to keep that mindset, including, for example, as faculty, I am all the time learning. I teach digital marketing, I teach analytics. There is a lot of stuff happening. For example, things that we used to do manually a few years ago, like search engine optimization. Now there is AI that is capable of doing such things. I mean, we have all the time to update, and this is how you stay current and you stay relevant in your discipline. So even like having a PhD from a very good institution 10 years ago or 15 years ago, that's good, but did you keep yourself fresh and updated? Also because it's, so that's lifelong learning is something that goes beyond traditional students. We are talking also for like people who are in their mid-careers, okay? So when you are in a company, you will see that not everyone will be the CEO and not everyone will be the CFO. So there is a limited number of positions that are like managerial positions or interesting or maybe highly rewarded positions that you might access to, but many people in the company will not be able to access these positions also. Why? Because simply positions are limited. So these people also who are in the labor force need to find opportunities for their careers. So vertical ascension or vertical movement is no longer possible at some point, given the size of the structure or several things. Then what happens is horizontal opportunities. So people, for example, can start their career in finance, then move maybe to something else, marketing, or so, and to have this possibility and this capacity, and with it comes also rewards. So you can move horizontally, and actually some people can make very interesting careers and very rewarding careers and fulfilling careers by moving horizontally. It's not necessary to be like in managerial positions or aspire to them, so that's fine. So, but this is what matters. The job should be challenging. There is also something that I heard here is, and I totally agree on that. So it was expressed as what Sifili said are soft skills, and and that was expressed also as it's not only the technical aspect, but also taking ownership of the job. When you have a job, you don't wait for someone to simply define for you the tasks. So, and in general, managers will notice that. So they will see people who don't simply stop at, for example, doing the task that was assigned to them, but they go beyond that. So they will, for example, be a force of proposition, because at the end of the day, you're the one who is in charge of that task. So if you know the flows, you know what works, you know what doesn't work. So if your management sees that you're enhancing stuff, that's definitely something that is extremely positive. And this is something that is part of soft skills. It's not something that you will learn as a technical skill. It's part of a personality. It's a trait that you develop. And yes, so I'm talking like about these elements, but all of these are skills that are mandatory and that are important for businesses. You will see that after a few years of career, what is really difficult also, I agree that people can learn technical skills. University can help in that. For example, at AUI in the School of Business, we are trying to infuse more and more tools and software inside programs. We launched, for example, new concentrations in AI, to keep being up to date with what's happening. But what is more tricky is really the soft skills. And you will see that most of the managers, what we call executive education, so later, so exec ed is training about soft skills. So for example, how do you handle a team? Okay, how do you handle, what is really difficult is not technical aspects, it's the human interaction. So people will come with different requests. I am doing this, I am committed to my work. So you will have different, I need more resources. So, and managers, at some point, what really matters is your capacity to listen to people, to make them feel that they are valued. And it's more like critical now than it used to be in the past. And I totally agree. I also worked and lived in Europe and in the US for years. And I think that Moroccans, I totally agree what you said. So people don't have, like, there are opportunities in Morocco, or with all the things that are positive or negative, but there is also a very rosy picture, which is not realistic about what is happening in the West. Like you will go there, if you have like good managers, it doesn't, you can land in a very good structure, but you can have a manager who is a little bit like strange, or you can have like, you will have these problems everywhere. It's not a matter of going to Western countries or whatever. So I think what you can learn from a Western experience, from my perspective, is, and maybe that's a cultural shift that needs to happen, is they build systems around processes, not people, which is critical. It means it's like an airplane, okay? And in an airplane, you have different navigation systems that help you in piloting that airplane to remain stable. So do not frighten your passengers, have lots of bumps, etc. So this is a system that works with, like, for example, you have an autopilot or a process that helps you, okay? And then the navigator, which is the manager, okay? If he turns the airplane a little bit more or less, still systems are controlling his power or limiting his power to not feel the bumps. In Morocco, it's a little bit sometimes different in companies. So you find managers, the processes are weak, and the style of the manager will affect your daily way of work. So if you have a manager calling you at 8 a.m., for example, stressing you or whatever, or goals are not clear, or changing goals regularly, you feel it more in the Moroccan context. That's the truth. I mean, you will see that in your professional careers, but I mean, the more you try to put some safeguards, which are processes, what matters is not the individual in the position. Even if we change that individual, the system continues. It's fine. This is how we should think. And this is something that comes from a culture. I totally agree. I think this is something that needs to be changed. And it's part also of universities to train people on this kind of mindset. There is also the big picture from my perspective regarding this generation is we can take the broad picture, and your generation is different from previous ones. So I am in my 40s, so I am a millennial also, okay, so it doesn't look like that, but you're a Gen Z, so, but we have many things in common, okay? So, for example, I still remember when I started my career, I need flexibility. I cannot, for example, have a job from 8 to 6, so because, and managers should understand that, like, productivity doesn't mean more time. You can be, at some companies in the Netherlands, they work, for example, there are experiments to work 4 hours a day, but what matters is the deliverable. This is exactly the culture. In Finland, for example, in schools, it's one of the best systems in terms of. I visited Helsinki in an academic with an academic collaboration with a colleague there. In Finland, they have one of the best systems of, for example, K-12 education, like for primary schools, etc. Their school, technically, it's not like being there from 9 a.m. until the end of the day. They have a very limited number of course hours, and then the kids will play, will do other activities, and this is a culture, it's a philosophy. So what matters is the outcome. In the managerial language, we call this vanity metrics. What is vanity metrics? It's someone who comes to you and tells you, look, for example, today I did 12 hours of work, 14 hours, and I received 1,000 emails. So, okay, you can have a lot of activity, but it doesn't mean that there is an outcome. You know, I give a metaphor for this is someone who is drowning when he's swimming, okay? He's moving a lot. Doesn't mean he's swimming, okay? So this is something really important. And your generation is there is also something. First, you need flexibility. This is what comes from several studies. That's a generation. Also, there is a phenomenon that's HR know a lot, like they talk about it. That is called conscious unbossing. Unbossing is like they don't want to be some. For example, people don't necessarily aspire to managerial positions, so they focus more on the life work balance. So if I have a position where I have a good salary, good situation, I'm challenged by my job, I like what I'm doing, so then it's sometimes more interesting than having to handle most of the time crisis situation, someone who is like unhappy or whatever. And I mean, this is a generation that is exposed to more information, and they can make more, even before applying to a job. You can see, for example, what people think about this company. You can see, you can have some ideas. From the perspective of university, so I mean, this cultural shift is really important. COVID also accelerated that. So in the US, for example, they had a phenomenon they called Great Resignation. So like 1 million plus people left their job, and because the idea was not to live in big cities or whatever, but to focus more on, they want to live in rural areas and do remote work. If they are able to make a living like that, why would they need to show up to work like every day, etc.? So this is a generation that looks for balance between things, and they have more choices. Academia, the job of academia for us is to prepare students for all these things, like soft skills, infusing technical skills whenever possible in the curriculum. We are also building, for example, at SBA, we are having an advisory council. We are having people who are really actual CEOs of big companies in Morocco. You have also things like internship and co-ops programs. So it's becoming the norm in Morocco. So a few years ago, like for example, now you have people who are co-op are what we call études en alternance. So you have people who have the possibility to work and also to study at the same time, and that's also something which is interesting. You have also things like promoting global engagement. So at, for example, the School of Business and at AUI, we have several accreditations. This is part of engaging and allowing exchange between institutions. And we say, honestly, I've been in institutions. I've been at Dauphine, World Top 50, ESSEC. I lectured in a master which was ranked third in the Financial Times in the world. So all this stuff, I've seen what's happening. There is nothing like to envy or to underestimate what is being done in Morocco. We're doing a lot of stuff like that are positive stuff. So when people are having their degrees, they are being prepared via exchange programs, via this kind of links. And parts of what, for example, the academic world is doing, we are collecting accreditations. Accreditations are like labels and guarantees of quality. So we are, for example, we have EFND at business school, we have NETCHE at the school university, we have ABET for the School of Engineering. We are in the process of going towards AACSB. AACSB, you have 5% of business schools in the world, or like something like that. It's a very tiny number of schools who are aspiring to that. But it's an international mark saying, like EFMD, saying that we deliver the same quality, or we in terms of processes or what is being put in place, and this prepares students like to be able to handle all this kind of contingencies and all these kind of changes. There are many things that we can talk about, also empowering faculty or pushing faculty all the time to upskill. I think academia is the quality of the faculty also will determine the quality of programs. So faculty also like need this upskilling, and also like there are training, there are workshops, things like that. And again, there is a huge part of what is being done. This mindset of taking ownership of a job and continue to learn all the time and discover new things will be something like critical for any career like fulfillment or any career success for anyone. So this is some points I like from the academic perspective. Yeah, so there are many things we can talk about, but yeah. Yes, so technically, for example, let's take the example of AI. This is the buzzword that we are hearing nowadays. I mean, how can AI infuse, for example, how can faculty infuse AI in their curriculum? And there are applications of AI, it needs some supports. There are workshops, for example, things like prompt engineering, or for example, knowing that AI is, there is generic AI, there is specialized AI. Generic AI is something like Copilot, ChatGPT. It gives you an answer that is not domain specific. While, for example, specific AI will help you, for example, this is a skill that can be transferable to companies. Specialized AI can be tools, for example, like for data analytics. There are AI solutions, their job is to analyze data. Like training people on these kind of tools make them like better prepared for the job markets. And these kind of, for example, things are, so for example, at AUI, we have an experiment now, because by the next fall, we will infuse more AI into, for example, every class. And there is an experiment to try to adopt Copilot. So we are still working, it's still like getting validated. So actually there are people who are, there is a pilot. They're like, people have access to this account and see how it can be infused in the curriculum, whether in the grading, whether by building, for example, chatbots to interact with students. So technically as a faculty, I can give my class material to the AI. And if the student has questions and need more assistance, the AI can also give feedback out of class hours. So these are examples that are things that are, I mean, things are changing very fast. We're trying to also exactly adopt and diffuse these things, but yeah, definitely, yeah.